My guest in the studio, and of course we will be looking at this evening the Ekweremadu's attack. It's something that leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of many Nigerians. It's like a divergent opinion now, quite this digressing opinion, because a lot of people have different angle, mixed reactions to all of this development itself. But I have my guests who are going to be throwing more light on this development itself. I have Dr. Cornerstone Okonwafua. He is a public affairs analyst. Good to have you again.
Thank you for having me once again. I'm grateful.
And of course, I have Mr. Dino Odeyemi. He is also a public affairs analyst and also into the political arena itself. Good to have you on the program again.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Okay, let me start off this way. Before I begin to ask all the questions, let me just look at this. The Nigerian embassy in Berlin, Germany, has assured that the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, now prescribe mob that attacked Senator Ekweremadu, a former deputy Senate president, will be prosecuted under German's law. And do you also want to know that Ekweremadu has reacted and saying that he has forgiven all of those who have attacked him, and hope that the front bearer, the person who is the brain behind IPOB, would actually have his conscience pricking him at the end of the day, saying that he has done a lot for the Igbo community. Let me come down to Dino Odeyemi. All of this played out, and of course it looks like we are no longer looking at political sentiment, whether you're from the PDP or from the APC any longer. Now it's not like a Nigerian factor. Having an Ekweremadu being at that particular event, you know, to throw more light on what the Igbo community stands for, and of course the Nigerianness which he did by wearing those coat of arms with his clothes, and the beating itself, you know, how do we begin to marry all of this together before the international community?
I think it's a shame, and it's a dent of the image of Nigeria, and there is no law anywhere in the world that recognizes physical attack. Even if you are aggrieved, there are better ways of expressing your mind. You are free to carry placard, you are free to ask embarrassing questions.
But the question people have been asking is that what was he doing there? When he knew
was invited,
as a matter of fact,
as a guest, to come and deliver a speech. This is not the first time a Nigerian personality will come over abroad and give speech and speak with Nigerian.
You don't feel that is an oversight on his part, because these people have been making threats that any opportunity they have, they will ensure that those leaders that they have marked or taken down to say they have not performed, they will deal with them decisively.
There is nobody should be afraid of any threats anywhere in the continent. Anywhere in the world. People cannot say because he's coming from Nigeria, he cannot come and speak with Nigerian community or with his Igbo people. You can't stop him. You can't stop anybody.
But these are his tribesmen, not even people from another tribe.
Exactly, I understand that, and I appreciate that. But what I'm now saying is morally wrong for them to have attacked him. Nobody will applaud that. I'm even happy that both PDP, APC, and even Nigerians have condemned it. They have condemned the act. Whatever is their reason, whatever might be their grievances, they don't have that right to attack him physically.
Okay, let me come down to Okonwafua. Of course, you saw all of the development. What does it really signal? Some people have interpreted it to mean so many things, but from what you've seen so far, what is it signaling us? What is it saying to us?
Well, I'd like to join words with what other analysts have said, that anywhere in the world, this is an act that is condemnable, that should be widely condemned. Any man who is of that caliber, of that class, goes to a program in order to honor it and to bring honor to the nation that he's serving as a senator. You can just wonder how a USA senator will probably go for a program and probably be disgraced to that level, or any
but is it the same scenario? Yeah. Let's look at it very critically. Well, somebody who is coming from the United States, for instance, doesn't the system review the person over time? In Nigeria, do you have the opportunity to review your leaders?
Once a senator,
do you even have the power of recall?
Whatever happens, once a senator is forever a senator. the class and the clout of a senator requires that at least decorum should be held when it comes to how you respond to your grievances in the presence of a senator. That's the highest echelon of service you can render to your nation, selflessness as it were.
But really, sorry to cut you in, a lot of Nigerians have said that this actually talks about the systematic failure that we have in Nigeria, and that is what is already playing out, and the need for leaders to actually begin to stand up to their promises. And we have the likes of Aborisha, they're already supporting it and also warning governors and those in elective positions that they have to be wary. If you're given a duty to perform nationally, you must be able to be accountable to the people. You know, when you look at all of these views already expressed, what would be your standing point?
Well, that brings me to the very question you asked. I think it's a wake-up call to everyone who is serving the Nigerian people that the issue of leadership should not be taken with kid gloves. I believe it's a wake-up call to every person who is out there serving the people of Nigeria, that they should actually think on serving other than personal aggrandizement, because I believe that that also might be a sort of vent on the kind of governance that we have in the nation today. I believe some of the boys or the young men you found there probably had gone into Germany for greener pastures, and then coming to
they are venting their
anger
because
that
of what they have passed through.
Because when you get into a place like Germany, you realize that you are almost a second-class citizen. You can't vote. You can't be voted for. Certain issues relating to governance, you are not called.
But does that work in tandem with the ideology of IPOB now prescribed?
Well, the issue of event is. We can't probably discuss IPOB's ideology because it's been proscribed. But what we are saying at the moment is that the issue of a man being disgraced of that caliber, it might point to the fact that the people who are there are just actually venomous. They're angry because of the state of the nation at the time. Because those people, I for one would believe that if Nigeria was working well in terms of economic benefits, these ones will not probably seek better or greener pastures
elsewhere. Do you have
elsewhere.
a dissenting view?
Of course I have.
Okay.
Whichever way you look at it, there is no way Nigerians will not go abroad to live,
Exactly.
for whatever reason. And for the mere fact that they are there does not mean that people in Nigeria, there are no good people in Nigeria that has the right to go abroad and talk to Nigerians as either politician or government official. He who is not guilty should cast the first stone. If they are put in that position of authority, would they perform better than people who are here? For whatever reason, they don't have any justification to attack. You can ask embarrassing questions. You can carry your placard and ensure that you draw home your point. Make sure the country is good. We want to come home. You can say whatever, but not that you now go there physically and toys clothes.
But if you look at the political structure of the Southeasterners,
yes.
Do they believe in an issue of having someone to actually submit to? Do they believe in the issue of being a subordinate to someone, and of course, bowing down to someone? Because if you look at the administrative structure, political administrative structure of the Igbo people, it's quite difficult for you to marry it to the north here. When you look at all of these instances, then put them together, and of course, IPOB have been saying, as a matter of fact, that the leadership structure we have in the country, there is a problem. Now, if you marry these two things together, where are we going to?
I agree with you. There is problem in the country, and that is why you have the Yorubas, the Afenifere, and the leaders who are clamoring for restructuring, which is more or less what the Igbos are saying, that give us our own rights, or we are not being fairly treated in the arrangement of called Nigeria. Agreed, but there are better ways of putting these things across. Not you, because you are Igbo, you think it's only violence or true physical attack that you can achieve whatever is your aim. Well, we condemn it. I never liked it, and I will never support it.
But even if you look at the German authority, they've not been clear statement from them, apart from the Embassy of Nigeria in Germany that is saying that they will be prosecuted, those that have been identified as those who carried out this act. Do you see the international community really having interest in our own political affairs, indigenous affairs here?
Well, the first question you asked about whether the lifestyle of the average Igbo man actually guarantees freedom of expression or freedom of association, I would want to say that the Igbo man who believes that he is king for himself, he is king by himself, and is king for his own family, should that mentality, that belief, that practice is even enough reason for which Ekweremadu should not have been assaulted. Because Ekweremadu, by that very intention, by that very practice, you are saying that.
What does that practice tell us in governance? Now, is it recognized in our
government? If you want to put it in the latest parlance, it's talking about freedom of association, all forms of freedom put together for the person to enjoy. And if you have a right of association, you have a right of speech. I do not think that the man who decides to come and associate with his people because he's been given an invitation, I do not see any reason why what you are saying on television right now should actually put us in public glare as a nation. That's on the one hand. Number two, we are talking about
before you even go ahead, okay. Is a nation tolerant? Some people have said that mind your speech, especially when you're in the public. You never can tell who is listening to you. You could be picked up. If you look at the instances of what have been happening and the fears people have been nursing over time of what to say, how to say it, let me not injure the minds of some certain individuals. I don't want to be identified. When you have this practice already playing up in the polity itself, what happened? Should it be a shocker to us?
Well, there's this statement that is accredited to former African leader from Zimbabwe, and they say that he normally would say that you have a right to say anything, but after you have said something, whether you still have a right is what we can guarantee. I believe that freedom of speech is still what holds democracy. Without certain freedoms, without freedom of speech, without certain freedoms of association, right to life and all the rest of them, you will not have a democracy. It is key for us to understand that your ability, we should not be in a nation where whatever you say either puts you into problem or takes you out of problem. Your right to express yourself, you first of all have an opinion about anything else before any other person, and so the right.
So is that what obtained? Is that what is obtainable in Nigeria as at today?
Well, we may not be able to say so right now because you can just see what is happening. That a man was given an opportunity to come and express his own intention via a keynote, and then he's being disgraced at the level of a senator. So I would probably say that's not probably what obtains in the country.
Okay, before I come down to Dino, let me just reel out the numbers for some of you who want to also participate in this evening's discussion on political turf. The numbers are on your screen, but for actuality, let me just call them out. 081-4777-841. The numbers again are 081-4777-841 for you to actually put up whatever you think about this very development itself. Dira, when you look at all of this factor, there's something that played out. They said the outfit he was putting on had coat of arms. And of course, people were asking questions that, for instance, why would he wear such to that event? Because you know that this is a yam festival for the Igbo community, for the Igbo people. Why do you not have to put on that clothes with all those things ascribed on it? Are you trying to play two mouth here? Those are two things that these people have seen. Are you supporting the government and at the same time supporting the Igbo community, which appears to be aggrieved over the years over a political sharing factor in the country itself?
The passports through which they all went to Germany as Nigerian coat of arms. They are there as Nigerians, not as German. If Ekweremadu as a senator now decided to put on a cloth that has a coat of arms, is only telling them that they should be a proud Nigerian. Wherever you are, carry the image of Nigerian along with you. So what is wrong in his clothes with the festival you say you are doing? I think what they have exhibited is pure toggery. And we are happy now.
And we are seeing the video now. Yes. You could see how much his clothes was turned.
And
even at a point in time, thankfully for him, he has his car nearby because he was going to be beaten. And you can imagine the level of being beaten like an armed robber here. And of course you have pebbles and of course sticks there.
Anywhere in the world, in Germany, in UK, anywhere, there is no law that supports this kind of a behavior. And whatever it is, they are going to be prosecuted.
How do we identify these people?
Of course, they know themselves. They know themselves. I don't know Igbo people. They know themselves. The organizers know themselves. The people in that community know themselves. So if this kind of a thing happened among the Yorubas, so I will not know one or two people that perpetrated that act, I will know. So they can easily identify them. And if you look at it, many of them could be illegal immigrants. And that is why that's how they run themselves into problems. It's very unfortunate. It's a disgrace on the country, and nobody should applaud it.
But what signal is Nnamdi Kanu sending to us as a nation? But because he has actually applauded this, and he has said that there are more to come. And we could see, as a matter of fact, Oji Uzor Kalu was supposed to be somewhere in Spain to actually attend an Igbo community meeting. He actually rescheduled it, and of course a lot of people have been interpreting it to mean that he's trying to run from things like this, because they have also threatened that they're standing by to beat him up. You know, when you have all of this threat go out, and of course some of our leaders are now nursing the fear that they are no longer safe outside the country, it's only within the confines of Nigeria. What is it telling us? And of course, what's the message Nnamdi Kanu is sending to us as a nation?
Well, from the perspective of what you can see on television now, it's going to be very, very hard for a state person or someone who is serving in any capacity as in governance today would say he would want to go to a program of this type in any other part of the world. You will have to probably maintain caution until these ones are brought to book, until the Nigerian Home Office in Germany makes a clear-cut report to the German police, and then this kind of issues investigated and those persons brought to book or even repatriated into the country, so that at least they can face the music here. It's not going to be very easy for me to advise a senator of Oji Uzor Kalu to go to Spain, because this person, well, that it's not about what he's running away from, because the ideology that establishes IPOB is actually a spread. It's not only in Germany, they also have representations in places like this, and you know, they call him their supreme leader, and so whatever he says, sometimes they want to obey it to the letter, even if it is to their own personal detriment. And so it's very important.
I keep wondering, the Kanu has been making a lot of statements. I know Nigeria has bilateral relationship, ambassadors here who are actually affiliated to other countries, and yet you have this elements in those countries making statements, and of course these countries have not really pushed him out to say this is because of the treaty we've signed with your country, because of the understanding, because of the looking at the ambassadorship that we have in your country, let's allow this man serve his punishment. But now it's like he's been shielded. So does it mean that the international community really wants some of our leaders to go through some of these things we already saying?
No. If Nigerian embassy is not making any requests to foreign countries about the activities and pronouncement of Nnamdi Kanu, there's nothing concerns them. They will not do anything. I think it's a kind of a laxity on the part of the Nigerian government not to have demanded for its repatriation.
So let me just put this.
Another way you have to understand is that I don't think at the present that Nnamdi Kanu is on the international watch to have committed a heinous crime. I don't think he's on any international watch. I don't think Interpol is after him. And so, except the country Nigeria actually reports someone of such to the UN and say this man has perpetrated an evil in our country, he's probably running away, we are trying to look for, there's a bounty on him to have him
but
caught.
We had the likes of Abaribe almost got themselves into trouble because they stood as shorty, and of course there were conditions for him to meet before that bill was granted, and he was granted he jumped that bill, and we had the likes of Abaribe almost going to prison because of that instance. When you have instances like that, how much more do we prompt the international community?
Based on what you have said, Abaribe's testimony did say that the Nigerian military happens to be the last to have seen Kanu, and therefore the Nigerian military should be the one to produce Kanu. It's very simple. If we have seen Kanu to be inimical to the togetherness of Nigeria, it's simple. Let's make that known to the UN, and then we can declare him wanted.
Do we always have to do that? In spite of the understanding. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, we can hear you. Hello, good evening. Okay, we hope to have the lines very clearly, and of course if you have to also participate in the discussions of this evening, still looking at Ekwere-Madu's attack, the numbers are 08143777841, and of course they are rolling on your screen. All you need to do is just turn down the audio level of your TV set so that we can hear each other. Okay, I was saying, as a matter of fact, that do they need to be told that this individual does not mean well for the nation? And of course you heard him saying that he's going to be going through Biafra Radio. Where is Biafra Radio operating from? to reach out to his members because of what have happened to Ekweremadu. When you have instances like this and is embedded in a country, in this world, and possibly we have a treaty with that country, so what's the extent of the understanding between Nigeria and some of this international community?
Well, every treaty, any bilateral or multilateral relationship that the nation enters with other nations, there are policy guidelines, there are principles and practices within which such relationships do exist. Until Nigeria says to Benin Republic, for example, we are looking for a certain man called Kanu, or otherwise Godwin. He has done this, he's under strict watch in Nigeria. We cannot find him within Nigeria. For example, when Maynard's case came, until there is a report to the Interpol or the international community has been able, has got feeds from the appropriate authority in Nigeria about the act or the crime this person has committed or is seen to have committed, there is no way you can put him under. And then another thing you have to understand is that Biafra Radio, as it were, is just like having a name like Godwin Radio. It's really not thing when it comes to well, it's just like you have your name of a radio. It's almost the same thing. The American or the European or any other person will not start asking questions about what is the name, what is the meaning of the word Biafra before it can register as a radio station.
You know why I'm asking all of these questions is that if you could remember that we had a Cameron saying that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. Yes. And he didn't know people were actually recording him. He was recorded on tape. When you have instances like this, that they nurse this kind of feelings, and of course they are not speaking it out, somehow, don't you think they are ascribing to what the people are doing now? Because if I'm very correct, I could see two uniform people there where Ekweremadu was actually attacked. They were foreigners, they were white, a woman and a man with police uniform there. And of course they were making radio calls. Nobody was stopping these people. So somehow, does it mean that they cannot stop the fracas at that point in time?
No. There were two policemen there. There was nothing they could do other than to call for reinforcement. They called for reinforcement. It was when they came that the whole thing stopped. So there, even in Nigeria, if there are two policemen among the mob, will they do anything? They cannot. They only need to call for the reinforcement, and that was exactly what they did, so that the whole thing did not will not escalate. And as it is now, there is no way those people will escape the law of the land. There's no way.
What's the assurance here?
Well, I do not.
We have a caller online. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Can you hear us, please? Can you go ahead? Hello, good evening. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from? Please go ahead. Okay, we hope to have the caller back. You know, I was saying all of this because I feel that as a matter of fact that some people have said that this is more or less like lip service to the cause of Nigerianness. Most of this international community knows that most of our leaders touch with some of the wealth of the nation in foreign banks and of course in foreign entities, and we saw what happened to Ibori. And you know, most of them in an instance believe that. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
How are you?
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Ismaila from Jindawa Petrol State.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I want to contribute my report of what happened to Mr. Ekweremadu.
Okay.
In fact, it seriously pains me. And it's sent this to Nigeria in general. Because when we look at his trial in Nigeria, it's not good that a person with high personality thought as Ekweremadu to be written as that way like a thief. If we Nigerians, if channels we Nigerians, definitely no any nation will respect us. In this way, I'm calling Igbo people to be extra careful and think and reason before making any action. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We couldn't hear that well, but of course He's
Well,
saying that
from the pillars I can hear,
Yes.
I from the last statement he's saying that, well, this is a clarion call to the Igbo people
Yeah.
to know how to behave well in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Well, of course, I think that's tilted towards regionalization.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? It's Nigerians that have disgraced
Exactly.
a fellow Nigerian who is a serving senator. I think we should learn to always make sure we understand that Nigeria is one. It's not a Nigeria of the Igbo, a
Or
Nigeria
Yoruba,
of the Yoruba.
or
When
Hausa.
issues
but who
are
killed
being-
that mentality of oneness?
now,
Because people even look at the First Republic, looking at the political structure of the First Republic, they will tell you that the Yorubas had their own aspect, their Wolowas, and of course you have the Nnamdi Azikiwes of this world as at then. They have their different political structure. And people felt
now,
that
if
there
you
was
will
division.
understand that, at that point in time, it was not called the Igbo region. It was called the Eastern region. It's still okay to say the Northern region, the Southern region. But of course, when you start going to dialects, start going ethnical, it doesn't
Okay,
work.
we have another caller online. Hello, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling
Hello,
from?
my name is Dr. Benjamin.
Okay, where are you calling from?
I just want to question for what the last caller now said. It's not issue of Igbo, it's issue of Nigeria.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm very disappointed what happened in Germany over there. Even me personally, when I watched it this morning, I was very, very angry. Even my wife was very, very angry. Because it's disgraceful to Nigeria. It's not issue of religion, it's not issue of ethnic or whatever. So what happened is a big slap to Nigeria. So that is my conclusion.
We must say
I
thank
want
you,
to
Dr.
question just
Benjamin,
the
for
last-
preaching oneness.
You shouldn't
But in as
put
much
it
as
into the
Dr.
religion aspect.
Yes, thank you so much,
Well,
Dr.
thank you.
Benjamin, for calling in as much as he has said all of this, but Nigeria still feel like the Southwesterners feel, as a matter of fact, that nobody in the Southwest will beat up their Obas or beat up their political leadership elsewhere in the country itself. And of course, they have said that this is not an ethnic issue. Okay, we have another caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you just turn down the audio level of your TV set so that we can hear each other?
Yes, I can. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, better. What's your name and where are you calling from?
About this issue, there's, my name is Onyeka. I'm calling you from Anambra State.
Okay, please go ahead, Onyeka.
I need you people to understand something. I'm not saying that what happened to Ekweremadu is right. But if you look at other countries, how did they start to get better? Things like this are bound to happen. Uprising from the minority community in a particular country that has been suppressed for more than 50 years will definitely come to stay. And we are not giving up yet. That is why you have the Biafran agitating. I'm not in support of Biafra because we are in Nigeria for now. But you should understand that if Nigerians don't come up to start making these things known to these people, it will continue. Ekweremadu is an Enugu man, we know. And I am not saying the beating is right again, but look at people out there. It is very painful to understand that, or to see these guys come to the western part of the world, where things are being done the right way, to come and make decisions again for us, and decide on things and become the VIP again. No. If you check, anytime Buhari visits any country, you will definitely see Nigerians in front of wherever he has gone with placards saying what is going on in our country. We will continue to raise our voices until they are able to hear us. Until then, we can talk about one Nigeria. You cannot suppress one community and expect the other ones to say, okay. You cannot kill everybody in one community and say we should not say anything. At the same time, you are the ones ruling us are not the right people. You and I can agree to that, or anybody in the studio there. I don't think tribalism or cultural diversity should be adhered to at this point. So tell the government, you guys should start getting things right. We have suffered enough. It is because of the lack of concentration from this government, or they don't even know how to run a good government. We have seen these Western countries where we learn from. Still, we are not getting better. So It is, to me, it is expected. If you go to Turkey, for example, how did they get their own? The whole country came and stood on the road until the government bent to what they needed. If you do it in Nigeria, they will kill all of us. They will kill everybody, and nobody is going to come out.
Nobody will die. Thank you so much for participating this evening. Thank you so much.
Are you telling me the community is safe?
I must say thank you so much. We know that you're passionate about Nigeria, and of course we hope that nobody will die. And you know, we are one in Nigeria, and of course this is a passionate caller who feels very bad about the level of governance in the country itself. You know, when we preach oneness, and of course the Igbos are saying, for instance, what he's saying is that they've not been given the opportunity at the federal level now to become president for a very long time. When you have instances like this, where do you think we're going to?
As far as I'm concerned, the only way you can become a president of Nigeria is
so let me just take this call. Hello, good evening. Please, can you turn down the audio level of your TV set? Hello, good evening. Okay, yes, I was saying when you have agitations like this, that there is no fair share of political offices in the country itself.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying in essence is that the only way to become the leader in this country is through the ballot box. It's through election. It's through an organization called political party.
But what happens to the structure of zoning within the political party structure
it
itself?
Depends. If a political party AA decides to field somebody from the south as president, is he going to emerge victorious? Will the Igbos themselves even vote for that person? These are the questions. There is disunity among the unity.
Okay,
in the
I
south.
feel we have another caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
My name is Chidera. I'm calling from Imo State.
Please go ahead.
So, the attack, what is this by the country about the attack on Ekweremadu? If you listen to Iatv, they make it clear when Python dance, took place in Abia State, when people use the accused, Ekweremadu did not say anything. They are taking out to level men. And so many other things. They don't comment. They kept quiet. As considered for well respected by Igbo people. But come out and condemn what you are condemned. But since he kept quiet, this guy decided to place their hand back on him. That's what. I'm not forgetting. This is part of the election. Even the governors of that state, the way they are discussed here, in other states, they are not there. Nobody is happening here. Nobody is interested. Because you know what they fear, they pretend they will declare you a good luck. One name, and with the federal government you are kept, and the six will come and assist you. So, but you are not here.
I must say thank you so much. You're calling all the way from Imo State. Thank you for your thoughts. And of course, he has said that we had Python dance, and a lot of people were killed, according to him. And some of their leaders, like Ekweremadu, did not say anything about this. And these are some of the agitations they are not saying. Beyond that, we're actually looking at political fair share of political offices itself. You have said that it has to be through the polling, But if you look at the political parties itself, are they doing the right thing? Because some people have this mentality, especially from the East now, that the average Hausa man feels that I'm born to rule. I'm supposed to stay there forever. It's like an hereditary thing. It's like something they have to do with hierarchy, and it's like a dynasty for them. That's what the Igbos are not seeing here, even though we say we are one Nigeria. When you have factors like this already playing out, then how do we begin to liberate as one nation, as one people?
Well, I will have to say here that the clamor by the average Igbo man may not essentially be our man must be president of Nigeria. I believe every other part of the nation, every other region, it's also looking in the direction of a nation where the rights of the individuals are fully protected, not minding whoever is in power. A government that is totally unitary, where every decision taking has to come from top to bottom when it comes to the managing of the resources of the nation. I think that's where the issue is. If we have, when we used to have regional governments where the regions could manage what comes to, from them, it was almost good for you to see the Hausa man anytime you see him, to say him, oh, Sanu, how are you? It was because you know that the resources of your state, the resources within your region, is being used to improve their region, and that's what true democracy is. That's what true federal practice is all about. Well, when we start all looking forward to, for example, if you have
is there something wrong with our constitution?
Yes, there's something wrong with our structure.
Is it too archaic?
Yeah, it's too.
I don't think
I wouldn't use the word archaic. Let's not use the word archaic. We would say it's too centralized. It's not democratized. What we are saying is this: if you have a tree where there's only one mango and everyone is raising their hands to pluck just that one mango, before you know it, all of us are going to start sustaining injuries. That's exactly what's happening.
But those who sat down to carve that constitution, did they ever imagine that Nigeria would be this way?
We were never given the opportunity. We have not carved out a constitution. It's not good for us to say a constitution was, and people had sat down to carve out a constitution.
So the military,
it's like a book was written for us, and the name given is called the constitution. The last time we ever had a constitution that was carved out is 1979. It's the 1979 that a constitution that has been tinkered with right now in order to give back to a 1999 constitution. And so we will not be okay to say a constitution was people sat down to give us a constitution. By knowledge, we understand that the number of people who sat down to give us what we now call a constitution are not more than 4 or 5 people.
What happened to the spirit of amalgamation? The one we had in 1918, where you have all the regions coming together.
And that's the question we're asking, sir. If I may come in there, that amalgamation happened in 1918. Well, I believe before then, 1914, Nigeria came to become what's now known as the geographical boundary called Nigeria. And you want to ask yourself, if over 105 years since that name Nigeria came to being, we are still looking at our neighbors as our enemies. Sir, if it takes you 105 years to decide to live with your neighbor, you want to ask yourself, what really is the problem? And the problem is that we have never one day sit down to actually decide how we want to live with ourselves. That's the issue.
So I was asking, what's the spirit of amalgamation? Are we not still one? Because if you see the average Igbo man does not believe that the Yoruba, for instance, has his interest, or even the Hausa man.
For the mere fact that we have different languages, different culture, I think what would have been ideal for us as a Nigerian is just to agree that local government should be empowered. Development in this country should start from the local level, rather than having the federal government holding the whole money that belongs to everybody, and you just distribute it anyhow. Give a certain amount to people in the north, give a lower part of it to people in the south, where you even get the resources. Well,
the principle of decentralization, you are talking about decentralization itself. Will that principle work out?
It will work
Let's
out.
look at our National Assembly. Is there political will to actually push for that? Within even our political senators itself, and of
when
course,
you're talking about
the House of
democratization and decentralization, you have just raised an issue now about the National Assembly. By the way the National Assembly is carved, there is no way there's going to be a decision in the National Assembly that is going to be effectual. Why? Because a certain number, you get me, in view of a majority, is coming from a certain section. And so whatever decision that is being taken, we all have to be the one who is dancing to the tune of that section that has a greater number. 191 to probably 164 or 162. And so what we are saying is this: in order for us to see a nation where a senator will appear anywhere in the world, and Nigerians who are there will be willing to come and welcome him and say, thank you are part of us, you are the one that's doing us well, is when the rights of the people, the right to fiscal federalism is entrenched in our constitution. The rights of, you were talking, I couldn't really answer well when you asked the question of to what extent can Nigerians say that the freedom of speech, the freedom of expression is granted in Nigeria, when just yesterday, as you mentioned, some persons we regard so well, a Nobel laureate for that matter, he wants to address it, he wants to address his people, at least not a nation, at least address his people concerning what it feels about the country, and the venue was blocked for a certain time. Now, if such a person can be blocked from speaking, I want to ask you, to what level would you hear me? To what level would you hear him? Because the
What
conscience
happens to
of
national security?
the conscience of
I mean,
democracy.
you know, when they talk now, they look at the issue of national security, that some people could take over. Miscreants, they have said that miscreants could actually take over the symposium.
Then I'd like to ask you again, what's the purpose of policing? What's the purpose of policing? The people who are not carrying guns, who are not carrying weapons, just want their voices to be heard, and you are saying that they cannot speak because people might take it for, something sinister can come or being infiltrated. Well, we want to live in a nation where if we speak, our voices will be heard, because the conscience of governance is the people's voice. It's the people's voice. If the people can't speak, you will never know the direction you want to go.
I think the security men are just playing, to the gallery. Maybe they are trying to repress the president. Because if you have done your own work very well, you will know that this kind of people who wants to address themselves, they are harmless. And we have said this several times, that the present crop of security men that we have in this country, both the SSS, the military, and everybody, should be retired. They are not doing anything.
But even if you look at the PDP, the role the PDP has played in all of this, I had to mention the PDP because they've been a political aspect, a political angle to this. The PDP did not attack or query those people who carried out this. Some people have tagged it heinous crime against the Ekweremadu itself. They have said that there is a failure in the system, and of course they are accusing the present administration of failing in its services and duties to humanity. When you have interest like this, when you have instances like this, and of course political interest and political comments on very critical issues that is affecting our polity, like what has happened to Ekweremadu itself, where are we going to in terms of our political leaders and their interest?
As it is now, you are only adding political interest into it, whereas we are looking at it from the moral angle. And that is why both the APC, the PDP have condemned the act. It's a disgrace on Nigeria. This is something that happened outside the shore of the country. So we let us remove the political aspect of it. We don't have to look at the situation, whether or to query whether it is the government that is wrong, or people are not enjoying the government. We don't have to do that now. Even as opposition, as PDP, that is not even the question. The question is, as a Nigerian, we have a disgrace abroad. So we should condemn it.
No.
So it's not a matter of whether the president is ruling well or not. When we come home, we will discuss that at our own level. It's our own local problem.
Okay, because we need to take in one more guest before we go. Let me just ask this to wrap up this. What are better ways that Nigerians could call their leaders to question? And of course, the people who did this to Ekweremadu felt that that's the way to call him to question, to say that you people have failed us. What are better ways Nigerians should have vented their anger?
One thing you must not take away from this very fact that a man by the name, who is a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, would go to that venue and then his clothes would be torn, might say to us that back home we are not being heard enough. The government is not hearing us enough. Where the freedom of expression is not granted its citizens, they might resort to other avenues in order to be heard.
Okay, let's just have your parting word on this very issue itself.
As far as I'm concerned, I think the federal government should allow freedom of speech and freedom of association, where we should be free to talk, we should be free to express our mind.
Okay, we'll take this break and we'll be right back.
You can now enjoy unlimited access to all the amazing content Impact Africa Television (Iatv) has to offer on StarTimes channel 181 and on free-to-air via Nightcomsat. To enjoy all our amazing programs, get a 60cm or 90cm dish and a strong decoder or any MP4 decoder. Face the dish to Nightcomsat's direction, same as DSTV direction, and impute the following details. For frequency, press 12518. For polarization, select horizontal or HOR. For symbol rate, 29500. Then press OK, and you're good to go. You can also press menu on your remote control and choose the auto scan option. Wait for a few minutes while the decoder scans. And just like that, you're on. Impact Africa Television. Explore, entertain, elevate.
You're welcome back, and it's good to know that you're still there. Joining us on the platform this evening again is Sumbo Badejoko, and of course I still have Dino Deyemi with us in the studio, and we're still looking at issues concerning our national development itself. And now we're moving to Ambode's probe. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of development to this effect that the former Lagos State Governor Ambode would be facing some of the looking at the sledgehammer of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He's been accused of laundering quite a number of monies, and of course a lot of drama has come up on this very development. But let me come down to Sumbo here. We are hearing, as a matter of fact, that the EFCC went to his house this morning and of course was going to search the house, but the EFCC has come out to deny that it ever went there. But report had it that it was indeed EFCC, and the Ekwe community were going to stop the EFCC from actually ransacking his house. You know, when you have all of this development, looking at Ambode as a person, and of course what happens to him politically, he was asked not to come back by the party for second term. He never won the ticket. It was given to Sanwo-Olu. You know, when you have instances like this, what is Ambode facing? Has he stepped on toes? Some people said he has stepped on political toes here.
It may appear that he has stepped on toes because it's something that I've never witnessed before in the history of the country that has happened to Ambode. And this recent development too can always be linked to the previous incidents or antecedents. But coming back to EFCC, they have come out, they didn't deny searching his house. They did not deny. What they said, the official statement was that they were carrying out an investigation. And the Ambode Trade spokesman has also said that there has not been any official communication between himself and the agency. But the agency has said they are actually investigating its administration, and they have actually frozen 3 accounts belonging to the state government, and they were trying to link 1 or 2 things to them. And I think the Ekwe, they were actually meant to go to one of the chief of staff's house in Ekwe, and while they're searching, according to the EFCC spokesperson, they discovered some information that prompted them to now go to Ambode's house to further search. I
just wanted to bring you to the statement itself. DFCC has issued the following statement saying whatever it is doing with regards to the investigation is in line with its mandate and the rule of law. The commission, however, denied raiding Mr. Ambode's residence. But now you have most of the dailies reporting this earlier, that these were EFCC officials who raided his property in Ekwe. But EFCC has said, we are investigating him. It's part of our responsibilities to do that. But when you have this outright denial, and of course you saw witnesses in Ekwe saying, for instance, that these were people who were ready to ransack this man's house, but some of them were disallowed. When you have all of these factors play out, is it not right when people begin to accuse the EFCC of selective justice here? Because from what is happening to Ambode, a lot of people are asking questions. Why Ambode? Why do they have to go after him?
Is anybody still in doubt that EFCC is being controlled by a political warlord in Lagos?
But that's an allegation.
It's an allegation, but I'm saying it as a fact now. This is an evidence.
What evidence? Because when you say
what I'm now saying is Ambode the only governor that has just left administration? When Fayose left, he was almost picked under 24 hours. You know, just said we have Ajimobi, nobody has invited him. So why are you picking on Ambode? Is it because, and we all know the fact that Ambode step on people's toes in Lagos State. So if they are now probing him, if FCC is wading in, then there is more to it.
Okay, as your parting word, Sumbo, what do you think should be done so that the EFCC could be seen as an agency who is independent here?
Well, they need to be balanced in their operation, or in their prosecutions rather, because as it is right now, we have discovered that it is only those who are falling out with the sitting governments that the EFCC would be flexing their muscles on. As he rightly said, Ambode was not the only governor that left office in May 29.
But there must be a deterrent.
Okay, for example, what about the case of Anamusu, who returned about 1,000 AK-47? Why was nothing said about it?
Okay, we just have to go. We hope that we'll talk more on the Ambode issue as events begin to unfold in terms of its investigations. More of this development will be coming up. I must say thank you so much to our guests this evening, from Dr. Cornerstone Okunafo to Sumbo Badijeko, and of course Dino Odeyemi, all public affairs analysts, and of course have their hands also in politics. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here on Political Talk. And here we'll wrap up on the program this evening. Do join us again on Tuesday for another interesting edition. My name is Bolabo.